Awesome. Hello, everybody. Welcome again to another Logos Privacy Builds Bootcamp workshop session. Today we are joined by Václav, and this is going to be a bit more of a hands-on session. So a bit more,
Hopefully.
hopefully. This bootcamp is just sort of all about getting your hands on with the logo stack and understanding what it means and what tools you can use with it and how you can build tools that are private by default, basically. So it's not completely all about talking about privacy and in theory, but you actually get to get familiar with the infrastructure and start using this in practice. So yeah, this is
Hopefully.
a bit of a deeper dive into the blockchain side of logos, and we're going to go a bit further from the high level overview into something a bit more practical and technical. So I think it will be a series of demos and then a bit of feedback, a bit of get you guys involved throughout this, and then if you guys have any questions, drop in the chat throughout. And also just drop in the chat where you guys are joining from. Let's see how international we're going. And then we can get started, and I will hand over to Václav.
Hey, thank Gils. Well, welcome everyone. I see a lot of highs, hellos from different countries in the chat. Fritz, I think I saw your inscription on Logos blockchain today. So if you inscribed there, if you ran the node and inscribed, congrats. You've done most of this workshop today. But we'll talk about that. So as Gils said, this is hopefully going to go a bit deeper into specifically Logos blockchain, and it is going to go deeper into touching logos and playing around with logos. I've asked, or James asked you the last workshop, last presentation, if you want, you can run Logos blockchain node. If some of you did, you will have it a bit easier today. If you have not and you still want to, it's completely fine because the team has started a new network 2 days ago. And so the blockchain is pretty short and it syncs very quickly. So you should be able to do it during the presentation as I walk you through that. And we will try that on my laptop here as well. So hopefully everything works. So once again, my name is Václav Pavlín. I say that I'm a chaos agent at Logos, but usually the official title is ecosystem development engineer. So I build stuff, I break stuff, I provide opinions, and I don't listen to feedback on those opinions usually. So what is Logos? AKA warning, because I've heard some feedback that everything seems to be broken. So I wanted to put a disclaimer here. Logos is a pretty established project from the perspective of how long it is around. But we've had some restructuring, some change of directions. We've been working on the same stuff for a couple of years, but now we have a really thought through vision. So what I have here and what James provided feedback for, and thank you, James. I really, really love you, and I appreciate your feedback, but I cannot take out the strong words there because this is just how I speak. So what is Logos, in my opinion? It is a fast-moving set of repositories in various languages. Some of them are broken or incompatible, which James didn't want me to say. They are nearing completion unless you use well-known revision. The pace is insane. My wife would hate me to say that because she's a psychologist and insane has a very specific meaning to her. So the pace is very fast. But also, apart from things being really, really heavily developed and broken a lot of times, it is a well thought through vision with many moving parts coming together for a long time, which are currently accelerating and strengthening cohesion. James asked me to fix a typo and I made another typo. So here we go. Anyway, you've heard what is Logos last time. 3 core pillars, the vision behind the book Farewell to Westphalia. Yeah, I know it's a suggestion and I asked for it, but I like to make fun of people. So now you are the target, James. He's messaging in the chat. There is a book, there is a philosophy behind it, the Farewell to Westphalia, and there is the human part where we are helping people launch Logos circles around the world, and there is plenty of those where you can actually go and figure out how to change your own social environment. And hopefully people will be using Logos technology stack for changing how they live, how they work, how do they do things, right? So what is this presentation or workshop about? It's about Logos blockchain. And then once we understand Logos blockchain, we can talk about what is being built on top of Logos blockchain, which is one of the things is Logos execution zone. And I've just throw terms here so that it's more fun. So I'm going to talk about Cryptarchia and Bedrock and Blend and zones. And then when we get to LEZ, Logos executions, we will talk about public and private state, ZKVMs, risk zero, programmability, and other things probably, hopefully. We'll see. We'll see where we get. If you have any questions, post them in the chat. There are people like James and maybe Guru happy to answer, or nudge me or whatever. Let me know that I need to answer something that is already in chat. So why are we building another blockchain? I think like James talked about that for sure, but like why the hell would anyone build another blockchain? Don't we have enough, right? With Bitcoin, with Ethereum, Solana, a bunch of other things. Well, Corey Petty from Logos wrote this article. You can scan the QR code. I'll share the slides. We can search for "Your browser has already betrayed you." But he basically talks about how we have done blockchain interactions wrong. And part of the reason is because when Ethereum, for example, started, it was very hard to do it right. Almost impossible, because zero-knowledge proofs were not there. They were not optimal. They were not working properly and fast enough. And running nodes meant something else than today. And so people started abstracting things into cloud infra and browsers and things like that. And we know that browsers track you, but we don't often realize if you interact with blockchain and if you do transactions, how much they track you, right? And so why does privacy matter in a blockchain space? It's about censorship. So if I know who is proposing blocks, who is doing what, I bet that you wouldn't want to know everybody that you paid for a beer in a particular pub, that you donated money to some charity that not everybody may be aligned with, that you, I don't know, maybe even bought drugs. I don't care. It's your personal business, right? But you don't want other people to know that necessarily. You may want to disclose that to friends, but not to everybody. And so this leads to self-censorship or to censorships, because even today, if you interact with blockchain, some banks will just say, no, you can't have account with us, right? We won't open an account for you. And that's censorship, right? And so another thing, without privacy, there can be attacks on block proposers. So blockchain is basically built on the fact that there is some method to propose blocks which contain transactions, right? We probably all understand this, but if not, then like blockchain consists of blocks, and each block has transactions inside, right? And so if there is a way to know who is proposing the blocks, who will be proposing the blocks, there can be attacks on those people and on that infrastructure. And so then maybe nobody is able to produce blocks, or they can be limited. What kind of blocks can you produce? What transaction do you include? Another case for censorship, but also potentially dangerous stuff. If I know that you are producing blocks for this blockchain and you have this stake, maybe I find you physically and I take the stake from you, right? I take the money from you. So we want privacy for block proposals as well. And there is front running. So if I know what's going to happen in the next, 5 blocks, I can do something that is going to change that, or I will leverage something because I have this knowledge, right? And so how do we in Logos blockchain achieve the privacy? We achieve it by hiding how much everyone has and who are those people who have the stake in the blockchain and who are actually running the blockchain. And then we hide them. So you don't know who has how much money. So you don't know who is going to propose the block. And when they propose the block, we hide that they did propose the block. And I will explain how. And so these two terms are kind of crucial there. Cryptarchia for private proof of stakes, and Blend for hiding who is proposing the blocks and how that block travels through the network. And I will explain that, maybe, hopefully in an understandable way. Now, I have said that already. If you have run your node, your blockchain node, or Logos blockchain node, then you're done for this slide. If you have not run a blockchain node, this is your moment. Go to github.com logos-blockchain/logos-blockchain/releases, or scan the QR code. I give you 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm pretty sure someone is going to post it in the chat as well. And so I'm going to do that as well. I'm going to click, and I'm going to disable my notifications. And so let me make this a little bit bigger. So this is the page for GitHub releases for Logos blockchain, and this has been just released 2 days ago, this new version. So there is a new testnet 0.1.2, and you can go and you can follow the tutorial. And I'm going to do it just right now. So I have my terminal here. I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to find the right tab and make that bigger too. So I've already went through the first steps. So I've downloaded the two artifacts, Logos blockchain circuits and Logos blockchain node. You can find them if you scroll down. There is assets, and you find the one for your architecture. So you need both. You need Logos blockchain circuits for your architecture, and you need Logos blockchain node for your architecture. Now, when you download that and you run the tar xdef and you unpack this, you will get Logos blockchain circuits, and it tells you, hey, please move it here to your home directory. This is assuming mostly Linux or macOS. So if you are on Windows, you probably want to do VSL or something. And then once you move it there, if you have already ran nodes for older testnet, you may want to clean the state and clean everything, because that may break your node. But if you are fresh, then you're good. So move it to the right location, unpack the node, and then what we want to do is we want to copy this command that says init, because right now the node is just the binary. We need to create a configuration. So this is just what it does. It just generates user configuration. There is some randomness involved for keys. I shouldn't show you that because there are some keys, but I don't really care. I'm going to rotate it anyway. And we need to set the initial peers. So now we have configuration for the backend. So how does the mesh look like? How many peers we want to connect to, and how do we want to prune stuff, DHT, a lot of things, right? Then there is this. This is important. So initial peers, there's the first nodes that you connect to discover other peers. And these are obviously the nodes that we are running as Logos. And so this is obviously anti-privacy if it was a real blockchain node or a real setup, because if you connect to our nodes as first nodes, then we can trace you and we can see that, like, who is setting up a new node, right? So eventually, when there is a bunch of running nodes, maybe you have some friends that are running nodes, you ask them, hey, give me your multi-address, and you put it there explicitly, and you bootstrap through your friends rather than through a centralized set of nodes, right? This is one VM, basically, right? And there is Blend, and I'll explain what Blend is. But basically, it's a network to hide who is proposing blocks. And then Cryptarchia, so the private proof of stake. So there's some information on how does this work? How long Bootstrap should take, and things like that. And then we have some other configuration. This is the address that is listening on. So we will be connecting to localhost 8080 to talk to the node. And then we have some keys. So these are basically your addresses, the addresses of the node, so that if you go to the faucet later on, you can claim some tokens so that you can propose blocks and you can send transactions and things like that. So now that we have this, if I do ls again, I can see I have the user config. I can continue with scrolling here. And basically, the next step is also super simple. I just need to start a node. So I'm going to do that. And it's going to immediately connect to other nodes and start syncing. You can see how the stuff is running here. And that's the node syncing the current state of the blockchain. And as I mentioned, the blockchain is pretty fresh. Let's see. If I open the Explorer, we should see how many blocks we have. We have not even 9,000 blocks right now for this particular one, for the started testnet. Restarted testnet. And so you can see that the height is being synced. So we have already synced 6,000 blocks, and it keeps going. So once it is synced, it will have kind of like a calm down period of 5 minutes before it changes the mode from bootstrapping to online. And at that point, your node is fully participating in the network. And if you claim the tokens as is recommended here, getting funds, testnet, I think you need to ask for credentials, because we can't let people to just drain the faucet. The faucet has limited number of tokens for it to be meaningful. So you have to go to our Discord and then ask for the credentials. But you can then claim some tokens, and when those tokens mature, which basically means approximately 3.5 hours, 2 epochs after you receive the funds, your node can start producing blocks if it has enough tokens. But what you can do is inscribing, and we will talk about inscribing in a little bit, and we will run another thing to play around with that. So any questions right now? I'm going to give you a couple more minutes, like 2 minutes, maybe. If there are questions, I can answer them. I'm going to give you like 2 minutes to actually finish setting up your node and let it sync and let it get ready. Oh, faucet seems to be open. That's great. I didn't know they opened it up. That's great. That's great. Much easier for you then. Okay. Any questions in the chat? I don't think that there is anything I can answer. Can you run the node on GitHub Codespace? I have no idea, but you should try. Like I don't know. I am running 3 nodes right now. I'm running node on my laptop that I have just started. Then I have another node on another machine at home, and then I have another node on a Raspberry Pi at home, just because. So yeah, run nodes if you can. Okay. So drain it. Don't drain it. Be nice to other people. I mean, if you drain it, then you'll, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you get. It's not, you can't make money of it yet. So, yeah, Raspberry Pi. So what we did, actually, we had an event in Lisbon called Parallel Society, and I have 3D printed 10 Raspberry Pi cases. I 3D printed 10 Raspberry Pi cases, and we gave out 10 Raspberry Pis to people. And yeah, that was that was pretty cool. I think there are some pictures online. Can I run this inside Docker? Yes, absolutely. I think there are Docker files and maybe even published images in the repo. So go look at the repo. And I think there are Docker files for sure. If not, someone from the community, I don't know, James or someone, if you can find it, someone from Lisbon Circle actually created some tooling around that, running in Docker. So maybe you can find that as well. Are there any companies using Logos in production? Not Logos blockchain. Logos blockchain is in testnet, and the mainnet is planned, I'm going to say next year, but you know how these things work. But we have other pieces. So as James had a presentation last time, the 3 pillars: messaging, storage, and consensus or blockchain. The messaging is being used in production by, oh yes, Cheyenne, exactly, thank you. The messaging is being used by Railgun, by Status. It has been used by Graph before Graph killed that division that was using it. Spritz has been quite popular lately. Portrait, bunch of projects using messaging, and we keep bumping into people that are using Logos messaging we didn't even know about, because everything is permissionless basically. So we had no clue that people are using it the way they were using it. So yeah, there are some people using some of the Logos stack, but not all of it, because some of the stack, like Logos blockchain, is not mainnet ready. Same for Logos storage. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead with the presentation. I think we have enough information and enough time. So the 2 things I want you to understand, because I think they're really, really cool. And if you're running the Logos blockchain node, you don't need to understand them, but I think it's good to know at least something about them. So Cryptarchia, apart from being a really cool word, what is it? So what do we want? And I already said most of that. We want block proposers based on stake, like, proof of stake in Ethereum, Solana, others. It's not proof of work like in Bitcoin, where you explicitly mine some hash, and if you mine the right hash, you get it. It's about staking some financial asset and then being able to participate in the consensus, right? So we want block proposers based on stake. We want to keep proposers' identity hidden or hard to predict, because some of the blockchains have this way of, like, upfront who is going to be proposing the next blocks. You have small pool of block proposers that can be selected from, and then up to like 3 blocks ahead, who is proposing. And we do not want to expose who has how much stake. First of all, privacy. Second of all, security, because if I know that you have a lot of ETH staked at home, then I might come for it, right? Like, not me, but someone. So how do we actually get these properties? So Cryptarchia does something they call local leadership lottery. So there is information outside in the blockchain so that you can guess how much stake, or you can mathematically derive how much stake is needed. And so each node does that. They basically look at the state of the blockchain based on few recent epochs, and then calculates how much stake do I need to actually participate in block proposal. And if my node is one of those that have enough stake, I can try to win the lottery, right? And I do all of that locally. And if I win the lottery, if the math checks out, I can produce a proof of leadership and create a block. It's magic. When I first kind of wrapped my head around it, it sounds like magic. Like, you locally figure out whether you can propose a block, and then you create a proof that you can propose a block, right? And so we don't have to know upfront who can propose blocks, because people will figure it out on their own, and everybody else can verify that they are not lying. And so how do we know that you have enough stake? Because as the blocks are proposed, we can measure historically over the epochs how many blocks have been proposed in the slots. And if there is too many blocks proposed, then it means that the stake is too low, and we need to, like in blockchain, you adjust difficulty. We adjust the stake needed for proposing the blocks, and so the node does it basically. And then you take a bunch of public parameters from the blockchain, which basically prove that the current state of the blockchain. And then you take some private information about your node, like how much stake do you have, and you put that into something called zero knowledge proof. So the private stuff stays private, but the proof proves that the private stuff is legit, and the public stuff is there just to make sure that the proof is verifiable. And then basically by that, you create a proof of leadership. So I can verifiably say I have enough stake based on the history of the chain to actually propose blocks, and everybody else can verify that. And I think it's to me, it's complete magic. I had a talk about ZK, and what I said, ZK is magic to me, and this is literally magic to me. So this is how it works. This is Cryptarchia, and it's based on a consensus called Ouroboros, which then, when you propose the block, it based on the Ouroboros approach, it picks which block is the right block and which chain to extend and things like that for forking. Too much information, too much detail. You can definitely dig into it, or you can ask questions if you're interested in that. We can talk about it, or the Logos blockchain devs can talk about that with you if you are interested in that depth. The second term I mentioned is blend. And we saw that in we want proposers to stay private, not only about the private proof of stake, but also when I publish the block, publish the block. So what do we know? Private leader election is not enough, because if I privately elect the leader, but then I know who the leader is, I can still come after them, right? And we know from that article that I have shared that network activity leaks metadata. So me interacting with blockchains leaks information about me and connects my interactions back to me, right? And this is general in network activity from the perspective of accessing internet or services. So how do we actually overcome it in Logos blockchain? If you heard about onion routing, Tor, mixnets, that's one way of doing it, but it's not enough, right? So we have basically a combination of few things. We have a mixnet like onion encryption. So each block is put in an envelope, which is put in an envelope, which is put in an envelope, and then routed through some relays, which add random delays. So it's not like I get it and I send it, but if it's a letter, I'll get it and then send it 2 days later to add some confusion. And then also these relays produce cover traffic. So they just send out fake block proposals. So you could verify that these block proposals are fake, but you would have to verify all of them and it would be very hard. And so that would be costly to actually analyze everything for someone to actually pick the stuff. So this is basically like hiding it in the pile of trash. And then we have proof of control quotas. So each relayer generates some proofs to make sure that they don't span the network. And then when we get through that like envelope, so each relay node unpacks one envelope, and the last one has the actual block, they publicly broadcast it, because the goal of the block is to get to everybody, right? Everybody needs to get the block, to verify it, to advance their version of blockchain or the ledger and stuff like that. So the last relayer just publicly broadcasted. And by the time, there is so much noise of fake blocks, and it went through multiple relayers who cannot trace it back, that it would be very, very hard to find whoever sent and proposed the block. If we didn't have the delays, for example, it would be easy, not easy, but it would be feasible to figure out, based on the timings of things, where did the block originated from. But the delays break that. If we didn't have the cover traffic, it would be easy, because in mixnets, one of the issue is that they don't have enough traffic to actually be fully anonymous and private, because the cover traffic basically lets you hide the right things inside of the bigger pile. So this is the second part. So once you can locally figure out that I can propose a block and create a block, this is how the block would go through the network to actually get to every single node, so that the blockchain can advance. And so this is just a summary of what I said. So validator privately checks if it won the slot. Winner builds the block and attaches proof of leadership. Proposal is wrapped into multiple layers of encryption as a Blend message. Message moves through encrypted relay path and gets decrypted along the way. And the final Blend node reveals and broadcasts the block. And network verifies it and extends the chain. And based on Ouroboros consensus, it extends the longest chain or the densest chain based on some parameters. And the observed chain growth and the amount of blocks and all that stuff feeds back the future stake inference, basically the magic formula that then like assumes, like, do we need more difficulty or less difficulty, or do we need more stake or less stake? And then the third term is zones, and a little pun, because we have Logos execution zone, LEZ, and pardon my French, but like les zones. I couldn't resist. Maybe it's not that funny as it sounds in my head, but I couldn't resist. Sorry. Zones are something to built on top of Logos blockchain, because normally, like if you look at Ethereum, for example, or Solana, that's where you build stuff, right? Like you build stuff on the L1 or on the rollups later. But like in Ethereum, at the beginning of Ethereum, you build on L1, and they would tell you this is the way to build applications. We don't think that's feasible, because not everybody has the same requirements. Not everybody needs the same transaction throughput or same validation rules or all of that. So we think that everybody, or each blockchain community or network state or whatever you want to call it, should have their own zone. And so then the apps or the programs built on top of Logos would live in those zones. And one of them is Logos execution zone, which is one that we are building as a kind of a reference implementation in a way that we believe a zone could function and be useful, right? But you can use Zone SDK to build your own zone, to build your own rollup in a sense, or we call it sovereign zone, basically. And then the Logos blockchain also ensures that the communication between zones exists and is atomic and all that. That's part of the Zone SDK, basically. It's kind of gives you library to build a sequencer and indexer and whatever you need to build a sovereign rollup or a zone. And so we can play around with that, actually. Obviously, it's a Rust code. You can just go there and you can start playing around with that. But I wanted something cool, maybe. So yesterday at like 9 p.m., I started prompting Claude, like, dude, I need this. So around midnight, maybe, it was in the state of like, okay, I need to go to bed because I have the workshop tomorrow. And it was in a state that it actually somewhat worked. I've just, like, I didn't break it today. I've improved it today, maybe. Yeah, we'll see about that. So if you go to this QR code or type that link, GitHub, Pavlín, Zone SDK test. What you will see there is this repo. It's not huge and it's not complex, but what it does is basically you can create, it is a TUI, to a terminal user interface called Zone Board. And it's basically a terminal bulletin board built on top of Logos blockchain zones. And so you can create channels. You can create boards or channels, which basically, like, for example, Logos execution zone will use one channel to sequence all its blocks into Logos blockchain, right? So you basically, you're kind of a sequencer at that point. And you can subscribe to other existing boards of other people, and then you get those as they inscribe and as they push more data into it. And it's basically through Zone SDK on Logos blockchain. So you can either go and build it from scratch, which will take a while, or you can go to this. You can go to this URL. I'm going to paste it in the chat, unless someone already did. James, thank you. And you can just download a pre-built binary. And so what I want you to do, if you want to play and you have a node running, you can see my node is still running. It's on the block 8938, just changed, and it's online. So I can now use it, and I want to use it. So what I can do is make my terminal bigger, and you can run the binary that you download, but what I can do is I can do cargo run because I've already compiled, and with parameters node URL. So that's my local node running that we have started during the presentation, and I can name my channel. You can use a channel ID, which is some 32 hex, or you can just give it a string and it's going to create a channel ID for you, so you can have a named channel in a sense. And so if I started, I've already subscribed to a bunch of stuff. It's syncing with the node to see if there are some new messages, which there are not. And you can see that I've already published some stuff. It's very simple. And this is Alisher's bot saying hi. And then Alisher sent this. Hello, Alisher, if you are there. Thank you for testing this and making sure that it actually works. And so I can just type here and be like, hello, encode. And when I do that, it says waiting for sequencer. So it something is not the way it should be, as per usual. But in the meantime, I can go and reload the Explorer. And then the message will show up in the Explorer as well. You can see that people were doing stuff here, inscribing. They have, the Logos blockchain team has a SQLite demo, decentralized SQLite. And so I think this might be from that. And let's see, this is Alisher's message. And let me find here. I assume this was someone in the chat saying hello from Vietnam. So they also inscribed on Logos blockchain this morning. Hello from Vietnam, and thank you for running a node. And so here you can see that my message got published. So hello encode got here. It should be confirmed here. So it's no longer gray. And if you want to subscribe, you can just do sub v Pavlin. So I can probably just, oops, where is it? Here. Come on. So you can just put this in, and it should subscribe you to me, and you can then see it. It should sync these messages if you have a running node, and everything works. And I would love if you can paste your channel names in the chat, and I can subscribe and show your messages here as well. Please nothing nasty, although I completely understand the feeling of wanting to do that. So I'm gonna move on with the presentation. But if you send your channel names in the chat, I will definitely try to subscribe and see if we get the messages. Okay, so I've mentioned Logos execution zone a few times now. So it's a zone on top of Logos blockchain, which means that it inscribes its state into Logos blockchain and uses that basically as a data availability layer plus some security information and stuff like that, right? And so what is it actually? It's a programmable layer. So that means is if you're familiar with smart contracts on Ethereum or programs in Solana, this is exactly what Logos execution zone allows you to do that. It has Solana-like model, Solana-like data model. So there are programs, there are user accounts, and there are PDAs, program-derived accounts, which allow programs to actually hold tokens or store data or store state and things like that. And it's using Rust as a programming language, both for like programming at easy and programming the programs or writing the programs. It allows for public and private execution on the same program. And what that means is that if you have ever tried to do any privacy preserving transactions on non-private, public, transparent blockchain, it usually involves some special code to get that privacy, right? Like if you try to do it with Railgun, you would go through a bunch of APIs of Railgun, and there would be a lot of transactions involved, like de-shielding, doing some stuff, shielding back and transferring and stuff like that. What's different here is that you write one program, and if it's done well, and if LEZ works the way it's supposed to work, you can do public and private transactions with the same code. And I think that's potentially very powerful. And as I said, it uses Logos blockchain as a base layer via Zone SDK. And the programs are written and compiled into RISC-0 ZKVM. If you don't know what ZKVM is, it is a way to compile the code in a way that the execution is verifiable. So anytime it runs, it produces the same proof, basically. So in theory, what we have in Ethereum is that every single node is basically running the same code, same smart contracts to advance the state because they need to verify that, right? And so here you run it once and then you just verify proof because the ZKVM makes sure that the execution was mathematically correct, right? And so RISC-0 is just one of the ZKVMs, the one that was picked for Logos execution zone, and it allows you to do this. And this is actually what's being used for the public and private execution, because in case of public execution, you just submit the transaction to the sequencer, and the team is working on decentralizing the sequencer as well, which right now it is a centralized sequencer, which is fine for testnet. It's going to be a decentralized sequencer in the future. But if you want to do a public transaction, you submit the transaction, and the transaction will go to the sequencer, and sequencer will execute it in the ZKVM, generate all the proofs, and do all the work for you. If you want to do a private transaction, you will do all the work locally. So we will generate the proofs locally, and then just submit the proofs and nullifiers and whatever data, encrypted data, and anything that is needed, but nothing that would lead directly back to you and your accounts, and it would not reveal anything about you. And this is possible because of the ZKVM, because the execution doesn't matter where it runs. The outcome of that, the proof, is always the same. So I can run the execution locally and just send the proof to someone, or I can run it publicly, and then the proof is immediately generated and stored on chain. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, then I'm sorry, and I'm terribly failing. Do we have anyone? Sub David Russo. I'm going to sub to David. David is actually Logos blockchain developer. So if you have questions, please do ask David. So I have Alisher. Great presentation, Václav. Yay! And I have David, nothing from you, which may just mean that one of our sites is broken. Like demos, right? But we got a message from Alisher, so that's good. And I assume that you got message from me. I can do another one just to make sure that it still works. Great crowd. Thank you all. And this should be relatively fast. Yeah, and it should be hopefully visible in the sequencer as well. If I reload, because it's disconnected. See, it's here. Nice. So now we have like 15 minutes. So first of all, again, I would like to encourage you to ask questions. If there is anything that I should answer to everyone, not just that you want to answer it in the chat, then please let me know. I'm trying to watch the chat. Can we discuss the sequencer for a minute? I lost the context. Why is the chat so jumpy? Is it just me? Is this what used to be Nomos? Yes, exactly. Nomos was renamed to Logos Blockchain. Basically, we have in November, I believe, we have done a huge rebranding because originally it was Waku and Codex and Nomos, and there's a bunch of other things. And we were like, well, this is not working. We can't keep explaining these separate things as a one cohesive unit of direction and strategy. So there was a big push on rebranding. And in November, just before DEF Connect, we have rebranded. Everything is Logos. So Logos messaging used to be Waku. Logos storage used to be Codex. Logos blockchain used to be Nomos, and LEZ used to be Nescience, which was a research project in VAC team, in a research team. So that was not super public and super well known. But other than that, yes, Nomos is Logos blockchain, basically. I know it was mass. Yes, absolutely. So the question about sequencer can we discuss sequencer for a minute? I lost the context. Can someone... can I get more information about what exactly do you want to discuss about sequencer? If you're not lost, you're not much of an explorer. I'm lost all the time. I must be a great explorer. Where is the binary download? If you scroll up in the chat, there were links from, I think, James for the TUI, for the text user interface, and if you scroll even more up, there were links for Logos blockchain node. So depending on what binary you're looking for, I guess. Okay. So here I have a few more links for Logos execution zone. If you want to start building something on Logos blockchain, you have basically two paths right now. One is you start building something like what I did here with the zones. You use the zone SDK and you start building something fun there. And we have, a lot of us have a lot of ideas. Like Alisher is building a note-taking app. So he was like, oh, this is cool. I can back up to file storage, to Logos storage, and then put the CID as an inscription so that I can find it later as if I'm syncing my notes. I was thinking about this as a bulletin board, but also I've built a local first privacy calendar app where you can share calendars with others. And so I'm going to use inscriptions for basically inscribing these events so that you can have them on that shared calendar, probably. I think there is an idea for a decentralized forum where we could use Logos messaging to disseminate new interactions, and then Logos storage for backing up some either large data or just backing up the history, and then inscribing that CID on Logos blockchain so that you can find and fetch the history as you go and as you need to. So there is a lot of use cases for this particular case. And I know I was talking to David. They are working on things like right now, only one key can write into a channel, and they are trying to make it so that you can have multiple keys in. So basically, multiple people writing into a single channel. So that gives you, for example, for the calendar application, because that's what I thought about. You can have multiple admins for the calendar, for the shared calendar, things like that, right? Same for the notes and whatnot, right? Is the channel Václav used in this demo the same that basically is used by LEZ to inscript blocks? It's the same technology. It's obviously not the same channel, because every participant has their own channel or multiple based on like that needs their secret key or private key to sign the inscriptions into the channel, right? So it's not like anybody can start posting into vPavlin channel now if they follow the protocol, which is like logos YOLO vPavlin, and derive the channel ID from that. So nobody else can now post into that, because I've already done that. The Logos blockchain will not take the inscription, as far as I understand, right? So I cannot post into LEZ channel ID or channel, but it's the same technology behind it, right? Calculations of the future mainnet throughput, I have no idea. That is probably for David or other people. Come ask in the Discord if you don't get the answer here. Please join our Discord and let us know if you have any questions. We definitely want you to ask the questions. I don't know why I don't see any messages. I think my app might be broken, or my node may be broken. I don't know. Something is not right. Anyway, did you calculations? What else? Composability. Encrypt the message. Subscribe. Let's see there. Let me send. Okay. Yeah, I can try to quickly restart and see if it syncs properly. But anyway, we've seen some messages going through. Why I don't see any new messages here? David. Yes, I have messages from David. I don't have messages from VRN. Anyway, that's okay. Some stuff works. It's like I keep saying, I've heard from a colleague a long time ago that live demos are like NASCAR. People don't go to NASCAR to watch cars go around. They go to NASCAR because they want to see a crash. So live demos are like NASCAR. So this is your NASCAR here. So where was I? Oh, here. So, and the second way of building on top of Logos blockchain is building directly on Logos execution zone. So we have a few places where you can go from here. We can look at the code. We have like 10 minutes. So I will show some code, but I'm not going to run the sequencer now and do all that stuff, because building takes time and everything. So we can do that. Like I think we have like a byte coding session specifically focused on Logos execution zone. So there you will see actually building something, or you will build something there. So here I'm just going to show some stuff. So Logos Scaffold is our way to making it easier for you to build on Logos execution zone from the perspective of infrastructure. Logos Scaffold should give you the right version of sequencer. It should be able to help you preload your wallet with some tokens, some fake tokens, but so that you can try the transfers. It should help you to bootstrap a new example project. So all of that. We are in the process of updating it to the latest version of LEZ. There's, like I said in my first slide, there's plenty of broken repos. Not from the perspective of that it doesn't work, but it keeps moving so fast that if you get stuck on something for a couple of days or weeks, it's just no longer compatible, right? And so Sasha released a new version yesterday, which should work with the latest LEZ. I haven't tested it yet, so you can. I got lost. Sorry. So that's one thing. Spell is basically our alternative, or our way or our answer to Anchor. I have built Spell because when I started working on multisig program, I got to a point like I don't know how people will construct these proposals for executing transactions in multisig. I need a way to know what parameters does a program expect. And I found that like Solana has something called Anchor, which generates something called IDL. And so I've basically rebuilt that for LEZ now. And so you can go to the repo. Right now, it should work with the released version of LEZ, which is like 02RC1 or whatever. But it's what Scaffold should give you, hopefully. And basically what it gives you is that it allows you to specify these things. Like if you want an account to be a PDA, you don't have to, a program derived account, you don't have to do a lot of manual code writing and computation, but you can actually define it, and then the logic behind it generates the code the right way so that it's compatible with how LEZ thinks about PDAs and things like that. And it also generates CLI. So I'm gonna just assume here that I have spell. Yes, I have spell. It generates CLI. So if you give it the IDL file, it's gonna generate a CLI for a program corresponding to that IDL JSON. If you're from Solana, you know what IDL is. If you are from Ethereum, it's an ABI JSON, basically. So it describes functions or methods or instructions in our terminology and their parameters. So it allows you, it generates the CLI for the particle program, so it allows you to easily construct transactions and submit them. And then also inspect accounts. Which so basically each account has a data field, and if they correspond to some program, there is like it's just encoded as binary, and so this allows you to inspect the data. So if you're playing with something and you have an account that holds some information, some data structure, you can decode it using this a spell binary. I was hoping that we will like start saying that we cast the spells as submit transactions, but I don't think that's gonna stick. We'll see. And there is like it's pretty rich. It's pretty rich framework now, allowing to do a lot of things. So I recommend checking it out. We have the LEZ programs, which is demo programs basically, or a minimal set of programs that you need. AMM, tokens, account token abstraction, so allowing programs to hold tokens or like group token holdings together. And these are being reworked so that they use spell. So let me just open one piece of code here, the ATA, for example. See, it's using the macros, not all of the macros. So they still do a lot of stuff manually, but they're in the process of porting it to spell. And then LEZ multisig is something that I have, wrong link. Sorry, it goes to pull request. Something I've built as a sample app on LEZ. So a standard multisig allowing you to create a multisig, submit proposals, M of N approvals, and then execution. And LEZ has something called chain call, allowing you to basically call another program from your program or multiple programs. So this is basically what the multisig implements and abstracts away, built completely using spell. So this might be a good starting point if you want to build something complex. This might be your go-to potentially. We still need a better documentation, I believe. So please go break it. Let me know. I'll try to fix it and let you know. And we have atomic swaps. That's like most complex demo or most complex sample app that we have around LEZ, I think, because it not only has a LEZ program, but it also has Ethereum smart contracts, and it also uses Logos messaging to exchange information between maker and taker. And so you can see the flows here, and Danish has done a tremendous amount of work here. So if you want to see the like really complex stuff, definitely recommend this. And he is working on making it native for Basecamp, which is the desktop application that and framework that we are building for launching these applications. So he has integrated it into Basecamp or converting it in a way that it runs completely in Basecamp, depending on the modules and things like that. So this is going to be this is a big chunk of work here, and also like something really cool to look into. Yeah. I stopped watching the chat, so please let me know if there is anything. Thank you for posting the links. Very, very, very much appreciate that. Can we get mentions in Zone Board? That's nice. Well, let me tell you this. It's open source. Feel free to fix it. My idea about that is that, well, I got this long time ago in Red Hat. I complained to one of the project maintainers. He's like, it's open source. Feel free to fix it. And I was so pissed about what he said and how he said it. But I've since learned that that's the way it should be. So please, if you have ideas, either submit issues or just send PRs. AI is pretty good with these things. So just tell your Claude or whatever you're using to send a PR. And yeah, we can do whatever. Absolutely. It's not the Zone SDK test. The board is just for playing around with Zone SDK. My next plan for that is to actually make it into a Basecamp module and run it in a Basecamp through a UI. And I hope that I will be able to make it before my next workshop here, where this would be useful. I don't know which one that will be. So go to build.logos.co to learn how to build, what issues we have, RFPs, Lambda prizes. You've heard about that. Follow Logos Network, follow Logos Devs, because we have live streams. If you start building anything on Logos tech stack, ping Logos Devs or ping Chair or ping me or ping anyone here, and we will put you into a live stream and you can show it and you can explain what you did and you can explain what broke. If you want to get famous in Logos community, we will make you famous. Follow other people from Logos. Join our Discord. I don't know why I didn't put the Discord here, but I am going to assume that it is going to be put into chat because I just said it. But it's probably discord.logos.co. Discord.logos. No, it's not. Logos.co/discord. Yes, I think that is. No. Okay. I don't know what Discord is. Oh, Logos Network. Okay. Yeah, it's in chat. Thank you, Johnny. So please, please go follow and join us in our Discord. There is a Builder Hub, I think. Builder Hub. I think it's a Builder Hub channel where we talk about building stuff. Alicia posts there all the time. Really cool things that he's doing. I'm so jealous because I just have been busy with actual work and he has just been having so much fun. Very jealous. But I'll catch up. Anyway, that's basically it, I think, from me.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Václav, for that. Very interesting talk, and hopefully that gave everyone a bit more of a clearer picture on the Logos blockchain and how working with the stack actually looks like. Just a bit of a quick reminder on the structure of this program. We'll generally have sessions on Mondays and Wednesdays. So going forward, all workshops are now going to be at 5 p.m. BST. So just make sure you see when that correlates to wherever you guys are joining in the world, because I saw we had a very international crowd. And then we are going to have office hours as well, which are going to be at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. on Central European time or 1 p.m. UK time. This info is all on the platform page. And office hours are basically just the Logos team are going to be available on the Discord channel. So if you have any questions, they'll be replying and be able to engage there and then.
Actually, I'll correct you. I'll stop you and correct you if you don't mind. So the office hours are running every week. We have official Logos office hours at the same time, and so it's a call on Jitsi, so you can join there as well, and you can find it in our calendars and in our Discord, and you can join there. You can present, you can ask questions. We can bring people. Usually, I run it with James and Corey. But we can bring anyone from Logos if we know upfront. So please, if you have questions about any particular piece, let us know upfront. We'll try to make that happen. But yes, these few forward ones will be probably focused on what we did here and what we talked about here. And one thing I've asked if we can move the workshop on 27th. So I just wanted to make sure that if we do move it, people don't expect it to be at 5, but it should be at this at the 1 p.m. UTC. I don't know if we agreed on that. Just wanted to say it here that there is 2 options now, and we will see which one sticks. And
we can get that updated. If you just let me know whenever, and I can get that changed on the platform. But for general rule of thumb, they're at 5 p.m. BST, which is UK time, going forward. And I think that just about wraps it all up. So next one is on Monday, and hopefully see you all guys there. All right, thank you very much.